The Sugu Flight Review Guide is a great reference tool for pilots seeking to pass their flight review. As a requisite, you are required to have your advanced exam complete prior to continuing to the review. The flight review will last approximately 1 hour with a focus on procedures and practical flying skills. The flight review will have 7 core areas, and it is important candidates come prepared. Thank you and good luck.
Congratulations, you have made it to the flight review. Before we begin, I would like to advise there are equipment requirements prior to commencing your review. If you do not have a first aid kit, fire extinguisher, or two-way radio, please visit www.sugutools.com and check out our RPAS flight kit. As we proceed through our module, I suggest you download Google Earth Pro, Drone on My Phone for iPhone, or Quadcopter FX Simulator for Android. This module is meant to offer you a short briefing prior to coming to our class for training. Lastly, if you will be conducting a review with us, please ensure you have an RPAS which has a weight of no less than 250 grams, but no more than 25 kilograms. As an advisory, we suggest all students conducting flight reviews to obtain on-site training with one of our instructors. You can reserve your placement by calling 1-888-FLY-SUGU or by visiting www.sugudrones.com and select the applicable course drop-down date. Students who do not possess or own a drone are urged to contact us right away to arrange equipment rental. We are excited to welcome you to our flight training and review course. In this module, we will briefly discuss the site survey and selection process, ATC coordination, pre-flight checklist and drone usage, indoor flying and simulator, and the flight review. All topics will be re-explained and expanded in class. When planning your RPAS flight, it is important to verify your airspace as well as the location of your site. Thus, the VFR navigation chart or the VFR terminal area chart should be utilized for airspace identification, while Google Earth should be utilized for site survey data. The VNC and VTA should be utilized with Google Maps to make a clear, informed decision about the airspace you are flying in. In regards to airspace verification, it is important to know your class of airspace. Thus, you should identify distance from airports or heliports within your site survey. Furthermore, you should have an understanding of your surrounding airspace. If you do not understand the map symbols on the VFR navigational or terminal area charts, refer to the legend. Here we have our Advanced Operations category chart. The key takeaway here is when planning for risk, depending on your safety-assured drone category, the separation distances from people will change. Here's a quick run-through on 2 very important tools in Google Earth Pro for the RPAS pilot. In regards to defining activities in advanced operations, it is good pilot decision-making to have your site survey defined to the level of safety assurance granted by the manufacturer. Thus, the scope of operations should include one of the following if you're operating within a safety-assured category. A. 30 meters away from people. B. 5 meters near people. C. Less than 5 meters above people. Here we have an advanced site survey in progress, which is nearing the completion phase. As a good rule of thumb, the site survey should factor both the general checklist in unison with the advanced survey. In providing a visual example, please see the left image. On the right, we have provided additional tips to help you along the way. Here you will see where the information is pulled and gathered from. In recapping our additional tips, you want to ensure that a launch is happening from an adequate height. The importance is to make sure you are clear of power line, obstacles, and trees. Here are coordination procedures which show a step-by-step walkthrough on how to fly in advanced airspace. First and foremost, you require an advanced pilot certificate. Once obtained, please follow the below tips. In moving forward, we encourage students to download Drone on My Phone for iPhone or Quad FX Simulator for Android to practice their drone flying skills before they come to class. Hands-on flying with your drone will happen prior to the flight review. Please ensure both apps are downloaded and you sequence through missions. Course syllabus and testing standards will be provided once you have signed up. Please follow the below checklist prior to coming on site. Our trainers will provide you with guided knowledge to ensure your success in passing your flight review. If you do not possess a VHF radio, ROC-A radio license, first aid equipment, fire extinguisher, or drone, let us know. Adversely, these items are available for purchase at www.sugutools.com or rental directly on our course sign-up page. We look forward to seeing you in class and at the flight review. Now on to Leah to discuss the site survey and the NAV Canada airspace approval process.
Thank you for the handover, Lewis. In this section, we will cover site surveys and NAV Canada airspace approvals. Although there is no standardized way of creating a site survey, NAV Canada and Transport Canada both have suggested a similar methodology for the site survey process. Furthermore, the diagram can easily be created in Google Earth Pro. References for these diagrams can be found on Sugu Drones Regulations section. Visit www.sugudrones.com and click on Regulations, then click on the Downloads button. I will now walk you through the site survey process in 28 simple-to-follow steps. Here we have it. Let's begin. Step 1. Search for your site's address in Google. Step 2. Use the Add Placemark tool to tag your site with a GPS pin. Step 3. Select the Polygon tool to draw in your area of interest. Step 4. Label your area of interest. Step 5. Set the opacity of your AOI to 0. Step 6. Set the line color and width of your AOI lines. Step 7. Obtain secure distance requirements, i.e., safety assured categories A, B, or C. Step 8. Zoom into your AOI for distance measurement accuracy. Step 9. Create a secure perimeter around your site by roughly measuring outwards from your AOI with the ruler line tool, i.e. 100 feet or 16.4 feet. Step 10. Use the polygon tool to create a line over top of your measured safety assured perimeter lines. Step 11. Draw your safety assured perimeter around your AOI. Ensure your perimeter is the minimum safety assured distance. Tip: it is best to use a separate color from your area of interest. Step 12. Locate your takeoff and landing area within your area of interest. This should be the highest area on the terrain. Once you find it, draw your takeoff and landing box. It is a good practice to change the color of this box. It is also best to increase your opacity of your takeoff and landing area so it is visible. Step 13. Draw in your secured exits. Step 14. Get the GPS coordinates of the 4 corners around your area of interest. Step 17. Obtain airport distance measurements from Google Earth. Step 18. Obtain airport operator information from your CFS. Step 19. Include forecasted wind speed and ceiling for your site by visiting NAV Canada's aviation weather website. Click on the TAFS and METARS button. Then type in your airport code and then select Plain Language. The Plain Language function is reserved for pilots who have trouble interpolating or decoding. Please ensure you bring a printed or electronic copy of the weather along with your site survey to your flight review. Step 20. In your site survey title, create a subheading which will include the following: distance from airports, coordinates, phone numbers, property contact information, class of airspace, local airport operator contact, local police department and EMS contact, RPAS max winds and temperature. Now that we are almost finished with our site survey, let's open the National Research Council's Site Selection tool. In steps 21 to 27, we'll discuss how to use it. Let's begin. Step 21. Open the NRC Site Selection tool and type the address of your area of interest. Step 22. Hit Set Map Center. Step 23. Select Satellite View to accurately see your site and area of interest. Step 24. Zoom into your site area to get an accurate depiction of the airspace. Step 25. Observe your airspace. If there is no overlying airspace or coloration on the map, this indicates Class G airspace. Step 26. Now select the Map Center button to get an overlying nearby airspace overview. Step 27. Navigate to each control zone to see if basic or advanced operations is permitted. Additionally, take a look at supplementary notes. Step 28. Reopen Google Earth and measure distances from airports. Step 29. To find out additional details of the aerodrome, utilize your CFS, i.e. to obtain frequencies and aerodrome operator info. Now, let's move on to how to fill out the NAV Canada Flight Authorization Request Form. Before we begin, I would like to advise you can directly get to this page by visiting www.navcanada.ca/en/products-and-services/RPAS. Once on the web page, please navigate to the bottom of the page and select RPAS Flight Authorization Request. Any questions regarding the application process can be found in the FAQ. Now, let's talk about steps to filling out this form. Now, this form is fairly self-explanatory when it comes to filling it out. It covers everything from operator name, email, company phone number, region, pilot and command name, pilot mission emergency phone number, pilot certificate number, and spotter and visual observer name. Now, where this form starts to get tricky is the proposed mission section, proposed mission coordinates, and proposed mission dimensions. Now, let me slow this down and explain it a bit better. When filling in the proposed mission section, if you are interested in filling multiple dates, you can list all the dates in the mission objectives section and submit one form. It's that easy. A lot of operators are confused about the form submission process, as it only has one editable date field. But as mentioned above, you can list all the dates in the Mission Objectives section and submit one form. If there are further questions, additional details can be found by visiting NAV Canada's FAQ page. For the proposed mission coordinates, please ensure you input the first two numbers corresponding with your degree and minutes from your latitude and longitude. If you are unable to find your latitude and longitude for whatever reason, you can also input your address below. In regards to requesting mission dimensions, this section requires the radius in nautical miles, requested maximum mission altitude in feet, AGL, RPA make and model, RPA registration number, and category and identifying markings of RPA. The difficult areas of this section include the process and time required to terminate the mission from your mission altitude, lost link procedures, and emergency procedures. In terms of standardized procedure for mission termination, lost link, and emergency procedures, I have compiled and written down what the best verbiage would be for your NAV Canada submission. For mission termination, here is a great example. Monitor battery levels and GPS signal at 30-second intervals during the duration of flight via telemetry or other visual indicators. Announce maneuver to visual observer to confirm clearance. Monitor flight path for other aircraft, persons, animals, or other obstacles. Verify landing area is clear and announce landing procedure is to commence to visual observer. Land aircraft in designated landing area prior to battery level depleting to 30%. Post-flight procedures to effect after touchdown. For lost link, here is another great example. If a lost link event occurs, the pilot will immediately notify the visual observer and any persons nearby by repeating "lost link" 3 times in a clear and loud voice. The pilot operations officer will continually attempt to gain control of the UAV and bring it back to a safe flying distance. If the event happens more than twice, 2 times in a flight, the pilot will take action to land the UAV, power down as per operational procedures, and reevaluate the operation. For a flyaway, the pilot will note the time and place RPAS in manual mode. If this is unsuccessful, the pilot will attempt to ground the drone and notify authorities as soon as possible. Lastly, for emergencies, the following wording is satisfactory. In the event of an emergency, the first to be contacted will be the emergency services at 911, and then the relevant local police detachment will also be contacted if necessary. If neither of these can respond, the last option will be to take the injured person to the closest hospital while still trying to contact the emergency services along the way. All emergency contact numbers will be identified and presented to all crew members before the flight operations. This is a reminder. If you're in need of a physical checklist, our arm board can be purchased for a small nominal fee at www.sugutools.com. In regards to the requirements for two-way contact, depending on the airspace, you may need both a cell phone and a VHF transceiver. If you require a VHF transceiver, you may also purchase this on www.sugutools.com. As an advisory, there is a maximum of 82 words or 507 characters in the proposed mission section. Once all of these items have been filled, please input your SFOC number if you have one and hit agree, and a confirmation number will be transmitted. Now, NAV Canada states minimum processing times are from 48 hours to 14 days, but general feedback from the industry and public shows they have been processing them within 24 hours. I would like to advise the above are all the tips to process your Airspace approval form. If there are any further questions on processing your Airspace approval application, do not hesitate to contact Sugu Customer Care at customercare@sugu.ca. Please note, if you require our assistance in long-term processing of your NAV Canada Airspace approvals, we also have a team of trained RPAS dispatchers. Please let us know if you would like to subscribe to this service by contacting customercare@sugu.ca. Now, back over to you, Louis.
Thank you for that, Leah. Additionally, if you are located in the Greater Toronto Area and are seeking to utilize a field for fun, practice, and R&D, we have low nominal rates. Check out our FAQ or RPAS field page on sugudrones.com. If you are a part of a professional industry group, please ask us about our discounts for members. If there are further queries or to obtain more information, contact customer service at customercare@sugu.ca and pricing will be provided. Furthermore, if you would like more information on flight reviews, please stand by and Leah will provide more assistive tips on what to expect on your flight review. Go ahead, Leah.
Thank you for that, Louis. In discussing the flight review, students who wish to proceed directly to the review are advised to visit our link description to obtain our Advanced Flight Test Guide along with our Examiner Checklist and Candidate Readiness Checklist. These items are available in soft copy and can be obtained for a nominal fee. You can also visit www.sugutools.com directly for your flight examination needs. For students who require flight training prior to their flight review, you can visit our link description for booking details. Additionally, please visit our digital downloads section located in our link description to learn about the best apps to use during your flight review. Our suggested apps will allow you to interpolate the weather, locate nearby airports, and come recommended by flight reviewers all across Canada. This is an advisory if you do not have any previous drone experience. We strongly suggest that you sign up for flight training. Lastly, we will have included a bonus stop animation at the end of this presentation to help you visualize your flight review to prepare for success. Be sure to stick to the end. In expanding our outline for the continuation of today's presentation, we will discuss the flight review, preparation techniques, what equipment and materials you should bring, what to expect, success tips, what constitutes a failure. Now, let's discuss the flight review. A flight review is the one of two knowledge requirements for being certified to conduct advanced operations with your drone or remotely piloted aircraft systems, RPAS. If you have not passed your advanced certification exam, you will be required to have this completed before visiting an examiner. If this has been fulfilled, you will be required to present valid Canadian ID, along with your TC and PC number with your official small advanced exam results. Now, before we begin, I would like to break down the step-by-step process of becoming an advanced operator. First, you must pass an advanced certificate exam. It is also recommended, if you have no previous flight experience, to obtain flight training. Second, you would be required to pass a flight review. Check our link description for pricing and to book a flight review. Third, there is a $25 application fee for your Advanced Operations Certificate. Lastly, if you fail, there is a 24-hour waiting period. Now, let's discuss the role of the flight reviewer. A flight reviewer is a Transport Canada-approved drone pilot who can administer a flight review. Their purpose is to observe your actions during the review. Most importantly, you are the PIC in the flight review. The focus of the flight review is for you to demonstrate procedures and your ability to fly your RPAS in a safe manner. I would say the review is 75% procedures and 25% actual hands-on flying. So, how does one prepare for their flight review? Well, here are a few short steps. Step 1. Review Sugu's Advanced Operations Study Guide video. Step 2. Watch the beginning of this video about how to create a site survey and how to file airspace approvals. Step 3. Sign up for flight training. Once flight training is complete, our flight instructors will then provide you a recommendation for your flight test. You can then choose to visit our training site to practice on your own prior to the flight review. There is a small nominal fee, and you will be required to have your basic certification to arrange this. If you have previous operator experience, you can choose to practice at our site for a small nominal fee prior to your review, or you can choose to take your flight review right away. Step 4. Review Appendix A of the TP15395, Flight Reviewer's Guide for Pilots of Remotely Piloted Aircraft Systems, 250 grams up to and including 25 kilograms, operating within visual line of sight, VLOS, TP15395. Step 5. Visit sugutools.com and obtain our RPAS flight kit. Please be advised there are 2 versions of this kit. One is for basic operations and the other is for advanced operations. The basic operations kit includes a journey logbook, a fire extinguisher, a pilot logbook, pylons, a carry bag, a safety vest, and landing pad. Our advanced flight kit has an added radio transceiver and a spectrum analyzer. Ask about our free shipping and discount program. Step 6. Ensure you have procedures in place for pre-takeoff, launch, landing, and emergencies. Step 7. Plan a basic mission in mind based on your examiner's instructions regarding waypoints and flight paths. We may ask you to do a simple or complex flight. The key thing is be prepared for all scenarios. Additionally, please adjust your site survey accordingly. Think about all your items in your flight review and visualize everything. Step 8. Conduct your site survey prior to your review or prior to your arrival. You can also ask your examiner if it is possible to do a site walkthrough if you have not visited the field before. If you're an individual or organization who has their own field, the general flight review parameters will still persist. Step 9. Review our digital downloads section on sugutools.com for best applications for your flight review. Step 10. At your flight review, speak out loud and explain exactly what you're doing so your reviewer understands your actions. It is extremely important to call out all phases of flight, which include takeoff, survey entry, or cruise. Thus, announcements regarding reaching your survey altitude, emergency procedure steps, and landing phases should be standard. Step 11. Know your emergencies. Thus, understanding procedures on lost link, flyaways, and who to call is important. Step 12. You will be flying manually if your drone is capable, so come prepared to know how to fly your drone. Step 13. Know how to approximate distance with your RPAS. A good example is flying out 100 feet and navigating from there. Step 14. Bring government-issued personal identification and Transport Canada documents, which include your pilot certificate, your drone registration, and exam results. So let's recap the basic requirements for a flight review. You must be 16 years old. You must have completed your small advanced exam. You must be trained to TP15263E. You must have a valid Canadian ID. Candidates should bring their TC and PC number located on their pilot certificate. Candidates should bring past results of advanced exam, and candidates should review Sugu's Candidate Readiness Checklist. Lastly, a soft copy of Sugu's Advanced Flight Review Guide is available for purchase on sugutools.com, our e-commerce platform. If you would like to schedule your flight review, please book via our training division, sugudrones.com, and an examiner will be assigned. One thing to note is if you're not satisfied with your flight review results, you may submit a written request to Transport Canada. Once reviewed, Transport Canada may appoint a new examiner. So let's dig deeper into the flight review and what you should expect. First of all, it's important to ensure you have all documentation ready. This includes things like your logs, manufacturer operating handbook, records, site survey, weather, your TC and PC number, checklist, and your certificate of registration. Please note, a failure of any section of the flight review is a complete failure. During the review, the reviewer will check your document control and organization. There are two portions of the flight review, the ground and the air portion. It is important to be prepared for both. Post-flight, expect to receive a debriefing from your examiner and expect your past results right away. The reviewer will also have suggestive tips on what you should practice. Feel free to ask your examiner questions and expect your flight review results to be uploaded to portal within 24 hours. In regards to appropriate forms of government ID, you may bring a citizenship card, birth certificate, passport, aviation license, PR card, military ID, and driver's license to identify yourself. In recapping what you should bring, you should ensure you bring maps, charts, and your National Research Council airspace verification information. You will need to verify your type of airspace. You can also visit our digital downloads section at sugutools.com to see suggestive apps to verify airspace and weather. Lastly, make sure you bring a checklist. You can visit sugutools.com to purchase our checklist armboard. This can be used to easily recall emergencies during your test. As well, it can be strapped physically to your arm. A lot of reviewers and students think it's phenomenal. Additionally, please remember to bring weather information as well as aircraft logs and manuals for your drone. Furthermore, it is your sole responsibility of the candidate to make the final decision whether the flight review will be conducted or not. It is not the examiner's choice. Thus, you need to say if it's a go day to fly or not a go day. In aviation, we call this the go, no-go check, basically meaning, are the conditions safe to operate? During your flight review, we suggest you bring the following: pylons, a two-way radio, a safety vest, a fire extinguisher, a journey logbook, and landing pad. These items can be purchased via sugutools.com by navigating to our basic or advanced flight kits. Furthermore, if you're a member of a professional organization or enrolled into our Sugu Zenith program, shipping is free. We suggest our flight kit as it helps mitigate risk. Furthermore, these items are also assistive as you are theoretically setting up your own mini aerodrome when you take off or land. It may not be a registered aerodrome, but you will be responsible for the site's safety when you are operating. So either if you are using our flight kit for your flight review or future operations, it is definitely a must. Now, let's discuss the evaluation sections of the review. You will be evaluated on your pre-flight planning procedures, emergency procedures, takeoff procedures, manual flight procedures, lost link procedures, flyaway procedures, and landing procedures. In further breaking down the sections, here we have it. For pre-flight planning procedures, your review will go over your site survey, your pre-flight briefing, your identification of airspace, your selection of your takeoff area. In relation to terrain, you will have to understand your proximity to aerodromes. Also, it is important to make sure your weather planning and forecasting is precise. In further proceeding down the list, you will need to visualize and identify your departure procedure. Remember, the most important out of all of these checklists is your decision to fly or not to fly, i.e., go or no go. In your flight review, you need to discuss your understanding of RPAS's center of gravity and if it's within limits. Furthermore, your examiner will ask you the impact of unserviceable equipment and will observe your organization of your material. In quickly reminding candidates for the requirements of a checklist, our ARM board can be purchased from sugutools.com, or it can be found in the link description. Furthermore, candidates should understand that there is a sterile cockpit rule in place during all flights, which mean all non-essential applications not conducive to the operation of your drone shall be closed. This includes background applications running on your phone that are not conducive to your ground station. Please visit our link description if you would like to obtain an electronic checklist, which is available in Google Sheets for a small nominal fee. The benefits of this checklist is it does not run in the background and suffices all sterile cockpit rules in regards to the operation of your ground station. The dangers of background applications include potential shutdown of the ground station or inadvertent closure. Our electronic checklist is a non-phone running web link which allows you to go through procedures with ease. In regards to emergency procedures, your reviewer will ask you emergency procedures which will apply to your drone and will ask you the difference between an incident and an accident. Make sure you know the difference. This is a reminder, if you would like a soft copy of our Advanced Flight Test Guide, it is available for a small nominal fee in the link description. Diving into takeoff procedures, your examiner will review how you inspect your RPAS, how you record time, your takeoff procedures, any departure clearances applicable to your flight. An example of this is your flight reviewer may role-play him or herself being an air traffic controller. You will have to give an appropriate response. And lastly, your reviewer will analyze your completion of your checklist. Another crucial area that will be observed in the review is your airmanship. Things like your lookout, considerations of other aircraft, and your takeoff and landing approach all play a factor. In the next couple of slides, we will take a look at manual flying, general principles, emergencies, and landing procedures in brief. In discussing what to expect in the manual flying portion of the review, here we have it. In brief, you will be expected to navigate around an obstacle, verify your position while maintaining altitude, airspeed, and you will need to point your RPAS in the direction of flight. Furthermore, if you need the time to pause this slide or to review others, feel free to do so at any time. In reviewing lost links and flyaways, the only way for your reviewer to test you on these procedures is to ideally simulate them. Now, let's take a look at what the reviewer may ask you in brief. In brief, the reviewer will expect you to understand your checklist and if you demonstrate proficiency in lost link or flyaways. During a flyaway or lost link, your examiner will expect you to proficiently recall the procedures without interruption. So if you need a checklist, please be sure to visit our link description or sugutools.com. Lastly, for your landing procedures, your examiner will take a look at how you utilize your checklist and if all phases of the approach are methodical. Remember to secure your RPA after landing. That includes your shutdown checks. At the closure of your review, as mentioned earlier, your examiner will debrief you and will let you know if you passed or failed right away. Your examiner will also provide areas of improvement or weaknesses. The next couple of slides, we will deal with a subject that not everyone likes to hear. This has to deal with what constitutes a failure in the flight review. Now, let's go over these items. A failure can happen if any one or more items in the flight review is unsuccessfully conducted. If this does happen, a complete flight review is required, and you have to wait a minimum of 24 hours. items which may constitute a failure may be to do an appropriate site survey, poor visual scanning techniques, unsafe flying, dangerous behavior, and lack of training or competency. In the flight review, there are 3 types of errors: minor, major, and critical. Now, the definition of an error is an action or inaction by the flight crew that leads to a variance from operational or flight crew intentions or expectations. Now, let's further define this. A minor error is an error that can lead to undesired aircraft state or a reduced safety margin if improperly managed. Furthermore, it is also an error that does not lead to a safety risk, but detracts measurably from the successful achievement of the defined aim of a sequence item. A major error will be recorded, but it's not a failure. An example of this is your RPA overshoots landing area by 20 feet and lands hard. A critical error is an error that is mismanaged and consequently leads to an undesired aircraft state or compromises safety. This will result in a failure. An example of this is non-compliance with CARS, repeated improper error management, and repeated major errors. Now, all these errors are all important to understand because if you don't know how it's possible to fail, you won't be giving yourself the best possible chances to pass. I would like to remind candidates that they should review the TP 15395 Appendix A in regards to how to further prepare for your review. At Sugu, our examiners keep records of all their examinations. Should the candidate wish to have a copy, they can request a copy. This is an advisory. Sugu will retain the original copies of all documents relating to the flight review. In the flight review, your reviewer will also be looking at crew resource management, your problem solving and decision making, your situational awareness, your communication, and your workload management. In regards to a repeat of tested items in the review, items will only be repeated if there is a discontinuance, for safety reasons, and collision avoidance. Other factors which would lead an item to being repeated is for safety reasons or if a candidate misunderstood a request. The reviewer will be required to routinely extract information from the candidate. The questions will center on one idea only. So not to worry, there will be no tricky questions, and the questions will be practical and relevant. Things to do prior to your arrival to your review include reading the TP 15395 for all the information prior to your first flight review. Also, it is important to re-watch Sugu's Advanced Operations Study Guide. Another thing you should do is review Sugu's Candidate Readiness Checklist and practice with your drone prior to coming. If you would like time to practice at our outdoor training site, please ask about our members' discounts. Furthermore, you should obtain our Advanced Flight Test Guide along with our Examiner Checklist and Candidate Readiness Checklist. These items can all be obtained for a small nominal fee in our link description. You should also order supplies for your review. A great site to visit is our e-commerce platform, sugutools.com, to suffice your flight and long-term operational requirements. Lastly, you should check our digital download section on sugutools.com for helpful apps or electronic links such as online checklist. In regards to offering tips on how to pass, here are the best ones. You should arrive early. You should imagine success. You should be organized. You should be courteous and act the part. An example of this is if you're acting unprofessional or dangerous, there is a high chance of failure. You should also stick to the elements tested and don't show off. Furthermore, if you fail your flight review, listen and take notes. You have 24 hours before you can retest. In a nutshell, those are all the requirements, tips, and tricks for the flight review. If you would like more information on the review process, we encourage you to email us at customercare@sugu.ca or visit the many Facebook groups online, such as the Canadian RPAS Exam and Technology Discussion Group. Stay tuned to watch a short stop-motion video of what the flight review process looks like. We have done this to help you quickly visualize the process. Remember, if you require pilot supplies or items for your RPAS operations, be sure to visit www.sugutools.com. We appreciate your support and thank you for watching.
RPAS Flight Reviews. Pre-flight planning procedures consist of an appropriate site survey with a specified safety assured category, weather analysis, airspace identification, and equipment-specific requirements. Your site survey shall include your safety-assured perimeter as specified by the drone manufacturer, or safety-secured scenario as specified by your reviewer. Be aware of the operating limitations of your drone as specified by the Standard 922 Safety Assurance. Manufacturer Declaration. Permitted Operations. 901.691A Operations in Controlled Airspace. 901.691B Operations at a distance of less than 100 feet, 30 meters, but not less than 16.4 feet, 5 meters. 901.691C Operations at a distance of less than 16.4 feet, 5 meters, from another person, measured horizontally and at any altitude. With 901.691A Operations in Controlled Airspace. The operator can fly his RPAS within 3 nautical miles from the center of an airport. Now let's quickly draw in 901.691B and 901.691C. 901.691B states that you can conduct operations at a distance of less than 100 feet, 30 meters, but not less than 16.4 feet, 5 meters. 901.691C states that you can conduct operations at a distance of less than 16.4 feet, 5 meters, from persons. Over people, operations in which drones will fly within 5 meters, 16.4 feet, or directly over persons not associated with the operation. Your flight reviewer will ask you emergency procedures that pertain to your drone. Your flight reviewer will ask you takeoff procedures. Your flight reviewer will ask you to fly your drone from a set of predetermined waypoints. Your flight reviewer will ask you lost link and flyaway procedures, so please ensure you have a checklist. Your reviewer will monitor your landing and use of checklist. At the end of your flight review, your examiner will let you know if you passed or failed right away. And will debrief you. Good luck.
Thank you for watching our flight review preparation video. As a reminder, if you seek to conduct a flight review, you may reserve it by visiting our link description below or emailing customercare@sugu.ca. Furthermore, if you're interested in networking, connecting, and sharing flight review tips, here are some great online resources. For Facebook, sign up to the Sugu Pilot and Canadian RPAS Exam Discussion Group. Or if you're not a social media type of person, try visiting the Canadian Drone Pilot Forum, which is available by visiting the web address canadiandronepilots.ca. Lastly, if you're interested in learning about recommended drone apps, digital downloads, purchasing tools, safety equipment, pilot supplies such as anemometers, gold-upheld drone wings, and more, please visit sugutools.com. I would also like to mention that we have free shipping at sugutools.com if you sign up to our Sugu Zenith program, which allows 24/7 access to our drone port locations. Please also stay tuned for the launch of our drone application, Sugu Pilot. Additionally, don't forget to hit that subscribe bell below to show your support. Thank you for watching.
Be sure to like and subscribe.